So rarely, I don't know, I don't recall exactly who's on your panel there. I thought I heard Ashley's voice.
Yes.
Oh, have you have an attendee?
Yes.
I would love to know what some of their tips are about succeeding in practicum. I'd love to hear what they have to say about that.
Oh no, that's good. So okay, so anyway, I guess we'll officially start. Just quickly, to introduce myself. I'm Brierley Kahn. I'm the licensure and certification specialist here at the Chicago School. I know a lot of you probably don't even may not know me, that you might see me, but that's what I do. And so for Licensure Week, we're just hosting a few sessions here on campus, and we're also online to answer your questions about licensure and certification. And so here today we have our MFT panel with Alicia Lander and Ashley Zeinert are here to answer any questions that anyone might have about the licensure process for succeeding in the process for becoming an MFT. And Dr. Baker just had a question regarding what are the secrets to success in practicum?
I'll go first.
And this is Alicia.
I think for me, my biggest, the biggest thing that really helped me was supervision. I had a very good supervisor who I could talk to about anything. I could go to him about any countertransference that I was experiencing. If I didn't know how to handle a certain situation, he was always very open to giving me his ideas and then, listening to some of my own, and then kind of steering me in the direction that I needed to go in order to best serve my clients. For my practicum, I work at 5 Acres Community Counseling at El Monte, and so that's, it's an outpatient resident. Well, they have a resident in Pasadena, but at the El Monte specifically, I was doing home visits, or they could come to the office, and I would meet with the families, and then the children, and the children's, their age range was from, I think my youngest client was 5, my oldest was 17. So I had a wide range of, things that I was helping my clients deal with, and so he was very open. All lines of communication were open. If I wanted to speak with him, and it was on the weekend or something, I could text him, and he would set up sort of like a phone thing that we could do for him to help me. He was very, very helpful. So I think supervision is what really got me moving on the right track. Like, I don't know what I do without my supervisor. So that was really the biggest plus for me with my supervision. Was my supervision.
I think along the same lines is that going practicum, internship, whatever, choosing a population that challenges you, because you will have the supervision during that time. So you get the experience while having more supervision, more colleagues to talk to about the difficult clients, so that you get the experience and you can go from there knowing a little bit more about more difficult diagnoses and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Also, I kind of also want to add, don't be afraid to express that you don't know, or you're not sure, or this is coming up for me and I don't know where to go from there. I think that some of us, when we're starting out, we have this conditioned thinking like, oh, we're supposed to be perfectly everything and you don't really know anything. You know what I mean? So I did not think I never worked with anybody before my master's program, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, my supervisor was very like, you have absolutely no experience and that's why I'm here. So I think just, even within yourself, just realizing like, it's okay to not know. Yeah. It's okay to, not have all the answers. You're never going to have all the answers.
Right.
So, I think that's a big part too.
Yeah, and also on top of that, because when I did my, I'm an MFT as well, and when I did my practicum, mentally I really dove in head first. Like, I'm so excited to do this work and really involved myself in it. And I think to a point where it might have been toxic, that there were troubles, I think, sometimes with boundaries and leaving my practicum and being able to leave the clients there rather than bring them home with me. It was also a huge part of doing practicum was writing notes, writing process notes. So you kind of have to keep those clients in your head because you have to write about them. but being able to, have that time for me to take a breath, to take care of myself was something that I wish I had done more or taken more seriously. Because I look back and I'm like, whew, sometimes I don't know how. It was really hard, really hard. And from experience, I think you learn how to maybe not absorb the clients as much. But for me, that was hard.
I definitely agree. And there were times in my practice when I was driving from work. I mean, it wasn't even like leaving my practice. I was driving to work and I was crying. I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know. And so, but it was really because I wasn't doing enough self-care. I wasn't, taking care of myself. I wasn't taking those deep breaths. I was just going from client to client to client to progress notes to assessments to client, and it became very overwhelming. Right. And sometimes, for me, overwhelming is emotional. So that's why I would just end up crying. I'd be driving from Chili's, because I was a job, and I'm on the phone with my mom, and I start crying. I was like, why are you crying? I don't know. Yeah. I have no idea. So self-care is so important, so important.
Yeah.
But how could we do that? I mean, do you have any suggestions?
On
self-care?
Yeah, just make it separate or
sure.
personal life and
yeah.
Especially when we started, it's kind of hard,
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is regarding self-care, and what are some suggestions on how to do that? Would you guys like to?
Well, I can go first. I didn't do this, but it probably would have been very helpful.
I think we can all say that. Well,
but having your own therapist is, and it's recommended, and I would highly recommend it. I didn't have one of those, which is why I was crying when I was in Chili's. But having your own therapist and really, processing, what's going on within you, and focusing on you and what's going on with you really, really would have helped me. And I think also, giving that strict, once you leave the office, whatever you're working on, that stays there. You need like a mental break, because for me, my mind just goes. And it goes and it goes. And I'm thinking about, oh, maybe I should have told her this. Or, oh, next time I see her, I'm going to suggest this. And so when you're doing all of that all day with 2 jobs and a full-time program, where is your self-care? Like there's not even any sleep. So I feel like if I had given myself that mental restriction, you're going to work on your stuff while you're here, but when you leave, you really have to try to focus on, other things in order to, really give you that break from that. Because essentially when you're in practice and when you're seeing clients, period, you're taking in all of that stuff that they're giving you, all that stuff that you talk to them about and all that kind of stuff. You really take that in as a therapist. For me, I take that in as a therapist, but then I didn't have any outlets. I didn't have, something that I was doing to take care of myself mentally or emotionally. So, I would suggest a therapist and that mental, really strict break. And also I would suggest taking vacation days. Like not like structured, but like days when you're not doing anything, nothing. If that consists of sitting on the couch and watching TV, mindless behavior, that would have been very helpful for me also. Like I said, I didn't do this, and so that's why I was crying. But I think, looking back, I think if I had utilized some of those tools, especially with therapy, I think it would have given me that self-care that I needed to continue without all those emotions. So.
And just manage the clients, don't see too many clients, like 12 or if you need time.
Yeah, that sometimes you don't always have control over how many, what your caseload is. I mean, really, I think it really depends on the site where you are. But on the flip of that, I think it's important to know before you start that you have a clear idea of what your caseload will be like or what the work will be like. Because some are probably a lot more intense than others as well.
And if you have some flexibility in your schedule to schedule clients, leaving yourself like an hour to take dinner or stuff like that between clients, because if you're seeing 3-4 clients back to back, that can be really, really hard.
And draining.
Yeah, because we have to have energy for them too, to listen to them and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's really important to remember that, if you don't have, if you're not taking care of yourself, then you can't take care of somebody else.
Mhm.
And essentially, I had to really, 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 really learn that because I'm just running around I'm meeting with their IEP team, and I'm meeting with their parents, and I'm meeting with their doctors, and, at a point, I was exhausted.
Social worker call you and ask about
Yeah, I had a social worker that I was working with too, and all of that, in addition to everything else that I was doing, it was exhausting. And I never took that time so like when I'm actually in the session with my clients, like I feel kind of bad because I'm like, oh, I'm really exhausted. But, so I think, to give them 100%, you have to take care of yourself. And so it's very important. It's very important.
And also, just want to add one thing. I get two things quickly to that too, because I could go on forever about self-care and that. But being able to recognize in yourself when it's starting to get to you, because like you said, there are things like crying happening, and trouble sleeping. I mean, there's so many things. And also, are you distracting yourself in other ways, like having 1 or 2 glasses of wine at night when you come home, just to kind of unwind a little bit. Yeah. Noticing when things in you are starting to become toxic or unhealthy. And also, it's so funny when you talk about turning on the TV. Watching TV is great. Just make sure that you're not watching like CSI or something like that, that's another program about, because it's really easy to do that because you get so involved. First, I remember when I was doing my work, and my husband loved this show, The Corner. Is that or no the Wire? I can't remember.
The Wire.
And he would always be like, "You have to watch this," and I would be like, "No, absolutely not." I'm like, "This is what I work on every day." No, I want to go home and watch HGTV instead of that kind of stuff.
Lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. Just realizing. What self-care you're going to be using and recognizing in yourself when you're using unhealthy coping skills, because it's hard. It's really, really hard.
that we can talk about it with our therapists as well.
Exactly. And if you can afford and if you have the time to have a therapist, because we can't talk about it to our partners or our family necessarily.
That was my problem. I didn't have the time. I worked 2 jobs, and I was in full-time practicum, and I was in a full-time program, so I barely would sleep. And, I look back on it now like, geez, I'm just in a wreck in class before Ashley. I'm like looking at her like, please help me. So, yeah, I think,
Okay, so are there any other questions from either Cyberland or here in the room?
So, you're helping us, regarding to licensure, right?
My role personally is I work more with the faculty and staff here to make sure that they're up to date on licensure issues and that we're together on licensure. So I don't usually interact directly with the students. Sure. But if you were to ask somebody a question like your department chair or faculty training, anything like that, and they didn't maybe necessarily have the needed information, then they would likely come to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Sure. I already have my license number, and I want to start to work 2 different places. I just was wondering, is that okay with DBS?
You have your intern?
I have my intern number.
Okay.
And I'm going to have 2 different supervisors. But I'm not going to work more than 40 hours per week.
Right.
So, I just was wondering if it's okay, or I should have just 1 supervisor.
So you're working in 2 locations simultaneously?
I have one of them is private practice, working with drug addicts, stuff like that. And the other thing is place is like a bigger facility. So I'm going to have 2 different supervisors.
Are you in a full-time PsyD program?
Yeah, I have to.
Wow.
I don't have that. I cannot,
Do you plan to sleep?
I know the self-care thing. Well, what I always do is I direct people to go back to the BBS. In this case, because also you need to make sure there's many different small nuances about gathering hours. You know, especially if you're working as a contract, you know, they have lots of different little rules regarding sites and supervisors, and and off the top of my head, I can say I don't think there's anything wrong with 2 locations, but I always direct people to go back to the board directly. Yeah.
You can even
If you call them.
They call,
Yeah.
call them, and lots of times too, I do like to email because then I can have something in writing. If they send me an answer back, to have it in writing. But they would probably need to know the specifics of where you are and that kind of stuff, just to make sure that your hours count, because that's you do not want to start working at a site and then you've worked for months and then you find out that the hours you have didn't count. That happened to me actually when I moved down here to LA. Yeah, so. Just make sure that that's.
Oh no! Yes.
Yeah, because when I did it, I didn't know that you couldn't be an independent contractor and not gather hours as an intern. So I had some hours that didn't count when I first started. So.
Look at you still standing on the couch. Like, yeah.
Sure,
On the couch
sure.
with my bottle of wine.
Just probably close the door. So is there any other questions?
No, I don't know. Maybe later, but
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone online right now? You can either type them in or
Voice them.
voice them. Crickets. No. Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I guess we'll sign off. Oh, hold on. No, sounds great. Okay. No, that's it. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
thank you so much for your time.
All right. Take care.
Sure.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Okay.